Comfort is a strange thing. People talk about it like it's always safe, like comfort means peace. But sometimes, comfort is just the moment, before you realize you've lowered your guard. Looking back now, I know exactly when it started happening to me. Not when Rowan first spoke to me. Not when we first sat in a library. It happened the day I realized something subtle. I had stopped watching him carefully. I had started trusting him without noticing. And trust is the quietest risk a person can take. Walls don't fall all at once. They loosen, brick by brick. The morning felt calm. Too calm. London mornings always carry that quiet gray stillness, as if the city is waking slowly. I walked across campus with my usual routine in mind. Lecture. Library. Then home. Predictable. Safe. But something small had changed inside that routine. I caught myself scanning the courtyard. Not for danger. For someone. And the moment I realized that, I almost laughed at myself. Because habits are difficult to break. Even emotional ones. I had spent months avoiding attention. Now my mind was searching for a specific person. Rowan. Not dramatically, just quietly. He was standing near the small coffee stall outside the economics building, hands in the pockets of his coat, looking mildly annoyed. Not at anyone, just at the weather. I slowed slightly as I approached. He noticed me at the same moment. "Morning," he said. "Morning." He looked at the coffee machine. "I'm trying to decide if this coffee is worth the risk." "Risk?" "It smells burnt." I glanced at the cup in his hand. "You already bought it." "Yes," he said. "That's the mistake." That earned another small laugh from me. And again, the laugh surprised both of us. "Try tea next time," I said. "Are you giving life advice now?" "Only when people are clearly suffering." Rowan looked at the cup again, then back at me. "Fair." Neither of us planned to walk together. It simply happened. Our lectures were in the same direction. "So," Rowan said after a moment, "do you always arrive early to class?" "Yes." "Why?" "So I can leave quickly." "That sounds strategic." "It is." Rowan smiled slightly. "You approach university like a tactical mission. Efficiency saves time. And what do you do with the saved time?" "Read." "That's very on brand." I looked at him. "On brand?" "You have a brand," he said. "Quiet, observant, difficult to impress." "Difficult to impress?" "Extremely." I considered the comment. Maybe people just try too hard. Or maybe, Rowan said, they don't try honestly. Something about that sentence stayed in the air between us. Honesty is rare, I said. Not rare, Rowan replied. Just uncomfortable. We stopped near the entrance to the psychology building. Students moved past us, talking loudly about deadlines and assignments. The noise felt distant. Why psychology? Rowan asked again. You've asked that before. I know, he said. I'm curious if the answer changes. I thought about it, then answered more honestly than before. Because understanding people helps you survive them. Rowan didn't laugh. He didn't even look surprised. He just nodded slowly. That's a very real answer. For Rowan, something had shifted too. The more he spoke to me, the harder it became to remember why he had started. The bet, the pressure from his friends, Zane's ego. All of it felt smaller now. Because the person sitting across from him in the library wasn't a challenge anymore. She was simply Aria. And real people complicate simple plans. Across the courtyard, Zane Carter leaned against the railing again, watching from a distance. He didn't need to hear the conversation. He only needed to see the body language, the relaxed posture, the small laugh, the comfortable silence. To someone like Zane, those details meant only one thing: control slipping away. And control is something he had never lost before. His jaw tightened slightly. Aiden approached from behind him. Still watching? Zane didn't look away. Not watching, he said quietly. Observing. As Rowan and I walked into the building, I felt something unfamiliar. Not fear, not excitement. Something quieter. Possibility. And possibilities are dangerous. Because the moment you start imagining something good, you also create something that can be taken away. Hope is gentle, but disappointment is loud. Closeness doesn't always arrive dramatically. It doesn't announce itself with confessions or sudden feelings. Sometimes it begins with something simpler. Familiarity. The comfort of recognizing someone in a crowded hallway. The quiet relief of knowing that when you sit down in the library, a certain chair across the table will probably be filled. At the time, Rowan and I still weren't calling it friendship. But the distance between strangers had already disappeared. And once distance disappears, something else always takes its place. That afternoon, the library felt warmer than usual. Outside, the sky had darkened again. London weather shifting without warning. Inside, the lights cast a soft glow over rows of wooden tables. I was halfway through a chapter on behavioral defense mechanisms when Rowan arrived. He placed his bag on the chair opposite mine. "You always beat me here," he said. "That's because I plan my day," I replied. He raised an eyebrow. "You schedule your reading time?" "Yes." "That sounds intense." "It's efficient." Rowan sat down slowly. "Remind me never to compete with your planning skills." For a few minutes, we read quietly. The kind of silence that had become normal between us. Then Rowan closed his book. "Can I ask you something?" "You usually do." He smiled faintly. "Fair." A pause. "Why do you keep so much distance from people?" The question wasn't aggressive, just curious. Still, it landed carefully. I looked at the page in front of me for a moment before answering. Experience. Rowan waited. He didn't interrupt. People are unpredictable, I continued. Most problems in life come from trusting the wrong person. Another pause. Rowan leaned back slightly. That sounds like a lesson someone learns the hard way. It usually is. Rowan considered my words quietly. Then he said something unexpected. "I understand that." I looked up. "Do you?" He nodded. "My father used to say something similar." "What?" "That people rarely show you who they are the first time you meet them. And the second time? They're still deciding. And the third? That's when you start seeing the truth." His tone was calm, but the statement carried weight. It sounded like something he had thought about for a long time. "You believe that?" I asked. "Yes. And yet you keep meeting new people." Rowan shrugged slightly. Curiosity. There was something about that moment that felt different. Not dramatic, just honest. I closed my book. "You're not like your friends," I said. Rowan laughed quietly. That might be the nicest criticism I've ever received. I wasn't criticizing. I know. A small silence followed. Then Rowan said something that surprised me again. "You're not like the rumors either." "What rumors?" "That you're cold." I considered that. "Maybe I am." He shook his head. "No." "Then what am I?" Rowan thought for a moment. "Careful." The word felt accurate. Uncomfortably accurate. Across campus, Zane Carter stood with Aiden and Ethan. They were watching the library windows. Aiden sighed. "This is getting boring." Ethan nodded. "She talks to him now. That's it." But Zane wasn't bored. He was studying, watching patterns, noticing details. The way Rowan leaned forward slightly when Aria spoke. The way she relaxed around him. Small signals. Signals that meant one thing. Progress. Zane's expression hardened slightly. "Good," he said quietly. Aiden frowned. "Good?" Zane smiled. "Yes." "Why?" "Because the closer they get," he paused, "the easier it becomes." Back in the library, Rowan glanced at the clock. "We've been here 3 hours. That happens when you read." He shook his head. "No. That happens when you forget to leave." we packed our books. Outside, the rain had stopped again. The evening air felt colder now. Rowan walked beside me toward the bus stop. "You ever regret transferring here?" he asked. "Sometimes." "Why?" "Because new places come with new complications." He nodded. "That's true." Then he added quietly, "But sometimes they come with new people too." At the bus stop, we paused. My bus headlights appeared in the distance. Rowan stepped back slightly. "Good night, Aria." "Good night, Rowan." As the bus doors closed behind me, I glanced through the window. Rowan was still standing there, watching the bus leave. And somewhere behind that quiet moment, another story was already forming. Because while Rowan and I were slowly building something real, Zane Carter was patiently building something dangerous. Looking back now, I understand something about that time. While Rowan and I were slowly learning how to talk to each other, someone else was learning how to watch us. Not out of curiosity, out of calculation. The difference between curiosity and calculation is simple. Curiosity asks questions. Calculation waits for weaknesses. And the most dangerous people are the ones who know how to wait. Aiden leaned beside Zane with a bored expression. "You're still thinking about her?" Zane didn't look away from the courtyard. "I'm thinking about timing." Ethan frowned. "What timing?" Zane gestured slightly toward the library building. "They've built a routine." "So?" Aiden said. "So routines are predictable." Ethan crossed his arms. "Mate, you're overthinking this." Zane finally turned to them. "No. I'm correcting a mistake." Aiden tilted his head. "What mistake?" "Assuming humiliation ends the story." His voice was calm. Too calm. Because the calmer Zane sounded, the more dangerous his thinking usually became. Meanwhile, Rowan was walking across campus with none of those calculations in mind. His thoughts were focused somewhere else entirely. Aria. Not the challenge she had once represented. Not the bet his friends had started. Just the person. He noticed things about her now that he hadn't before. The way she paused before answering personal questions. The way she always scanned a room when she entered. The way she relaxed only in quiet spaces. Those details didn't feel like information anymore. They felt like responsibility. Because understanding someone creates a strange obligation. Once you see someone clearly, it becomes harder to treat them carelessly. When Rowan entered the library that evening, I was already there. "You're early," he said. "You're late." He smiled. "Fair." Rowan sat down and opened his notebook. But instead of reading, he looked thoughtful. "What's the hardest thing about studying psychology?" he asked. I considered the question, realizing you can't fix people. That sounds pessimistic. It's realistic, Rowan leaned forward slightly. And what if someone doesn't need fixing? Everyone does, I said quietly, just in different ways. Rowan hesitated before speaking again. You know something strange? What? I feel like you already understand most people before they speak. That's observation. It's more than that. I raised an eyebrow. Explain. He thought for a moment. It's like you're always protecting something. The comment surprised me. Not because it was wrong, because it was accurate. And accuracy is uncomfortable when someone sees you too clearly. You analyze people a lot for someone who says he prefers observation, I replied. Rowan smiled slightly. Occupational hazard of spending time with a psychology student. Across campus, Zane had already started moving. Not dramatically, just quietly. He stopped near a group of students who were discussing something on their phones. Hey, he said casually. Do any of you know Aria? The students exchanged looks. Yeah, why? Zane smiled politely. Just curious. Curiosity. The same word that had started everything. But this time it carried a different meaning. Because Zane wasn't looking for conversation. He was collecting information. And information is the first step in every plan. Back in the library, the conversation had softened again. You don't talk much about yourself, Rowan said. Neither do you. True. Why? Rowan shrugged slightly. Privacy. Or trust issues? Maybe both. I looked at him carefully. That makes two of us. For a moment, we simply sat there in silence. Not uncomfortable, just quiet. And in that silence, something important happened. We stopped analyzing each other. We simply existed in the same space. When the library began closing again, Rowan walked with me toward the exit. Outside, the night air felt colder than usual. Streetlights stretched across the empty courtyard. Same time tomorrow? Rowan asked. Probably. He nodded. Good. Neither of us noticed the figure standing in the shadows near the far staircase. Watching. Waiting. Because while Rowan and I were slowly building trust, Zane Carter had already started building something else entirely. A plan. Some moments in life look small when they happen. Two people talking. Walking through a quiet campus. Sharing a few sentences that seem ordinary. But sometimes, those small moments are the ones that change everything. Because that's how trust grows. Not dramatically. Not loudly. But quietly enough that you don't notice it forming until it's already there. That night, something between Rowan and me crossed a line. Not romance. Not yet. But something just as important. Honesty. The rain started suddenly. London weather had a habit of doing that. One moment, the air was calm. The next moment, small drops were tapping softly against the pavement. Rowan looked up. We should probably move faster. Why? You don't look like someone who enjoys getting soaked. I don't mind rain. Really? Yes. He studied my expression for a moment. You're serious? Yes. Rowan smiled slightly. You're officially the first person I've met who enjoys unexpected rain. Maybe you need to meet different people. They stopped beneath a stone archway that overlooked the courtyard. Rain fell steadily outside the shelter. Students ran past, holding bags over their heads. For a moment, neither of us spoke. Then Rowan said something unexpected. You seem calmer when things are unpredictable. I looked at him. That's an unusual observation. It's accurate. Why do you think that? Rowan thought for a moment. Because when everything is unpredictable, no one expects you to control it. The answer surprised me. Most people hate uncertainty, I said. Most people haven't learned how to live with it. The rain grew heavier. We stayed beneath the archway. You mentioned before that experience taught you to be careful, Rowan said quietly. Yes. What happened? The question was gentle, not intrusive, but it was still a door. I hesitated, because doors like that don't open easily. Family, I said eventually. Rowan didn't push for details. Complicated? Yes. Another pause. And you? I asked. Rowan looked out at the rain. My father used to say something interesting. What? That people rarely become who they promise to be. That sounds pessimistic. It's realistic. There was a strange comfort in that conversation. Not because we shared the same experiences, but because we shared the same awareness. People were complicated. Trust was fragile. And honesty was rare. You're not what I expected when we first met, Rowan said. What did you expect? Someone colder. And what did you find? He thought for a moment. Someone careful. That sounds similar. It's different. How? Cold people don't care. Rowan looked at me. You care. Across campus, Zane Carter was also watching the rain. Not from a courtyard, from his dorm window. A phone rested in his hand. Messages open. A conversation with someone from Aria's psychology class. Small questions. Casual curiosity. Simple information gathering. Where she usually studied. What lectures she attended. Who she spoke to. Zane typed another message slowly, then smiled slightly. Because patience was beginning to pay off. Back beneath the archway, the rain began slowing again. Rowan stepped away from the wall. Looks like it's stopping. Yes. We walked toward the bus stop together. Can I ask you something? Rowan said. You usually do. Why did you give me a chance? The question surprised me. I didn't, I said. Rowan frowned slightly. You didn't? No. What did you do then? I noticed you weren't trying to take one. Rowan smiled softly. That's surprisingly reassuring. The bus arrived. Doors opening with a soft mechanical sound. I stepped inside and found a seat near the window. Rowan remained outside. As the bus pulled away, I watched him disappear behind the rain-streaked glass. And for the first time since transferring to that university, I felt something I hadn't expected. Hope. But hope has a strange habit. It often appears right before the moment things start to break. Because somewhere across campus, Zane Carter had already begun setting something in motion. Something quiet. Something patient. Something that would eventually change all of our lives.